we've actually got other sports to discuss, and we've got other Aotearoa Kiwi sporting matters to get into, starting with the Blackcaps. The Blackcaps are into the Champions Trophy semi-final. They did lose to India, but as you said, Kane Williamson finally got some runs. He was the leading run scorer, 81 runs. You did highlight his strike rate, 67, but I mean, they're losing wickets. He's got his anchor in the innings. He's just trying to get to the other end. And you've got Phillips, you got Bracewell, you got Santner, Henry. They can all score runs quickly. So I'm not worried there. That was actually Williamson got some runs. Most important thing. And Matt Henry took 5 wickets. So I'll actually do the Matt Henry thing right now. So if you got the Trent Boult, Tim Southee stats in ODI cricket, Matt Henry's played 90 ODIs, 88 innings. Can you give me, I'll actually write this down. Can you give me Tim Southee's ODI bowling average after 88 innings?
I could, but what I wrote down was after 90 games, so I don't know if they built the same amount of things. I'm just going to go with the 90 games, or else I have to go back into the tab and risk making the video freeze. So
That's right. Okay.
you'll have to settle for the 90 games. After 90 games,
I will say this is a very crude measurement, so it actually works out well because the
yeah.
innings could be completely different, and it's going to be even more crude. So just bear with us. Yeah, there's lots of context, there's lots of details, there's lots of stuff we're overlooking here, but it's just the giggle. So Tim Southee after 90 ODIs, what's he averaging?
Yes, Tim Southee, 90 ODIs, 129 wickets at an average of 29.54. He had an RPO of 5.18. That average got higher, by the way. He ended up in the sort
I
of
only
low
care about the
30s.
average. Just give me the average. Trent Boult after 90 ODIs.
Trent Boult, after 90 ODIs, had 164 wickets, 25.29 average.
Let me click to Matt Henry, averaging 24.8. Matt Henry has a lower ODI bowling average after 90 ODIs than Tim Southee and Trent Boult. I mean, this dude, his test bowling average right now, 29.84. T20 international bowling average 23.66, which might be in Trent Boult zones. I don't think his test bowling average right now is after his. Let's expand it out. Let's go all in on this. Henry, 30 tests. If you don't mind entertaining me here, because
I can.
We are dealing in Matt Henry might be a legend territory. It's fun for me. Okay, Will O'Rourke just burst onto the scene. Kyle Jamieson early in his career, putting up excellent stats. Rachin Ravindra early in his career, he's putting up excellent stats. He's doing some great stuff. Those dudes, I think they're doing some legendary stuff early in their careers, but it's early in their careers. Matt Henry, what's he, 31? 33 years old, and he's a better ODI bowler after 90 games than Tim Southee and Trent Boult. According to
One fewer wicket than Boult, though. Boult did have one more wicket
no
for 90 games, but it's slightly
we don't need any
average,
context.
So
I'm just saying Matt Henry's a legend and he's better than Trent Boult. Don't pull me down because this is a no context
well,
zone.
One fewer wicket, I don't think is much of a pull down, so we're safe there. And also, Trent Boult, other than Shane Bond, considering the timings of the careers, meaning Hadley didn't play nearly as many ODIs, blah blah blah. Trent Boult's probably our best ever ODI bowler.
That's what I'm saying.
It's him and Shane Bond, and Matt Henry is neck and neck with him for the stats at the same point of the career. So yeah, it's there. It's there.
Henry 30 tests. Southee after 30 tests.
Where are we? Southee after 30 tests. Which one is this? There we are. See, the thing about Cricinfo is they tell you the name only right at the very top of the thing. So I got to make sure I'm on the right tab. This is Tim Southee, and from 30 test matches, 107 wickets, 30.79 average.
Trent Boult, just average. Don't worry about the wickets. Just give me the average, hard and fast.
27.39 for Trent Boult.
Matt Henry's in between. So Southey 30.79, Matt Henry 29.84, Trent Boult 27.39. Let's go quickly into T20 internationals. Matt Henry's only played 21. So Tim Southey and Trent Boult after 21 T20 internationals.
Rightio. Tim Southey first. How many did you say? 21?
21.
The 21st game was a good one for Tim Southey. He took 3 wickets that game. He brought his average down to 25.32.
25.32. Trent Boult.
And Trent Boult took a couple wickets in his 21st game, bringing his average down to 19.96, which I think is the lowest it ever was again. Like, he never got it that low again after that point. So that was a high point for Trent Boult.
But it was a low point.
Yeah, because of how averages are low. Yeah.
So
that's right.
We need Matt Henry to play more T20 internationals and take more wickets and keep that average in the early 20s. But via this crude measurement, we can say that Matt Henry is at least in the same, I was going to say same ballpark, but let's go. He's in the same boundary.
Yeah.
He's in the same cricket ground as Trent Boult. But Matt Henry right now is better than Tim Southey. That's what Matt Henry's doing. Matt Henry is awesome. So shout out to Matt Henry. The Blackcaps, they keep rolling through the Champions Trophy. They play their semi-final against South Africa back in Pakistan on Wednesday evening. They did have the loss to India. I'm going to let you say whatever you want about the Blackcaps, how they're playing, what they're doing. The loss to India, preview notes to South Africa. I do have the ODI stats this year in front of me that I can drop in when the opportunity strikes. But I say all that because my Blackcaps thoughts are all about making semi-finals. It's all about being a top 4 team at every event you play. That is the standard. That is why the shitty T20 World Cup last year sucked. That's what made it so bad. Because my standard for the Blackcaps is that they are a top 4 cricket team in the world. And it doesn't matter what format they're playing. They've made the semi-finals in like 5 consecutive ODI World Cups. And they've followed it up with a semi-final at the Champions Trophy. So in my assessment of where the Blackcaps are at, they've changed a lot of players, especially from that T20 World Cup. No Southey, no Boult, no legends apparently, but we've got Matt Henry, who is the legend, and of course the broken-fingered dancer, shaker, kung fu panda, Kane Williamson is there as well. But in assessing where the Blackcaps are at, they're in the semi-finals, they're top 4. They've hit my benchmark. Of course, I want them to win against South Africa. I want them to win the Champions Trophy. But at this level of international cricket, who knows what's going to happen? Like the challenge of playing against India in Dubai is immense. It's really difficult. And it's like, it is what it is. I'm more of like Glenn Phillips, no excuses. Like, just, it is what it is. Yeah, we can poke fun at India and how they run cricket, and they know they run cricket. But they actually run cricket, which is okay. Whereas England think they run cricket and they don't run cricket. That's what makes England so weird. But whatever happens in the semi-finals when you've got Australia, India, and South Africa or another really good team, I mean, it's hard to win those games of cricket for New Zealand. We are the smallest nation in this event. We are the smallest test playing nation, but we're always in the semi-finals. And that's kind of all that matters to me. So yeah, I want to win tomorrow. Yeah, I want to win the Champions Trophy. I want to win World Cups. But bigger picture, I just want to keep that top 4 spot And after missing that spot at the T20 World Cup, a different group of players has got back into that zone. So to be honest, I'm satisfied, and anything that happens from here on out at the Champions Trophy, I'm not going to be too disappointed. You can take that wherever you want, and we'll get into some details.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's the benchmark, and they've achieved the benchmark. They achieved it after 2 games. Like they came out, they won their first 2 games, very good performances, very well-rounded performances, building off the good form they showed in the preparation stuff, and that makes this a successful tournament. And they might make it an even more successful tournament because they are good enough to win it from here. But of course, like any game on any given day might just, just because you're good enough doesn't mean you're going to win. But they're in the hunt, and that's good. And I think the South Africa semi-final draw is a good one because they will, there are reasons to believe they can beat any of the other 3 teams in the semi-finals. But South Africa is maybe they did beat. It wasn't their full strength team previously, but they did beat them recently, so that helps.
Go
gives
back
you a little
to,
bit of confidence.
So with on talk a lot about how you feel. How I feel when I watch the Warriors, how I feel when I watch the Wellington Phoenix. How do you feel playing against Australia compared to India? India in Dubai, where they're staying put, they're playing every game there, and playing against South Africa, because I think what you're alluding to is,
yeah,
Australia is always scary. I always feel like we're going to lose that game. The current situation with India in this tournament, it's going to be really tough to win. Like, I don't feel good about winning those games. I feel like the most winnable game, if they play well, is South Africa.
I feel the same way, and I also feel like, I mean, like I said, they can beat India, they can beat Australia, but I wouldn't want to have to beat both of them in a row. Like it seems like you might beat one of them, and that would be sweet as, especially if it's a final, that'd be amazing. But the chances of beating them consecutively, semi and then final, is a bit harder. Whereas I think South Africa is a team we would have more confidence against. And also, I guess since we're talking about like our feelings and our instincts as fans, if we lose to South Africa, I can cop that a little bit more, because I kind of like the South African cricket team, particularly at the moment. I think they're quite fun to watch. So if they and they also have a history of not doing very well at tournaments, so feel a little bit bad for them sometimes when that comes around. I would feel good for them if they went on a run and won the Champions Trophy. That'd be cool. Much rather it be us, but at least it wouldn't be quite so devastating as like losing to Australia again in another important ICC tournament type game. But I mean, even against India, where I haven't paid enough attention to them through the Champions Trophy to this point. I mostly looked at the like set in Dubai thing as a little bit of like a funny farce about it, but then also watching the game where they're playing against them kind of felt a little bit rigged in India's favor when you realize just how that is actually quite an advantage to them to be, and they only got the advantage because they refused to play by the same rules as everyone else by playing in Pakistan or whatever. Like it's standard cricket stuff, but it was also quite annoying, especially because, well, there's a couple angles on that, because most of that game, I watched as much as I could stay up for, but that wasn't very much because I fell asleep. And then I skimmed through the replay the next morning. I didn't wait for the highlights. It just like I woke up early, so I'm going to just pick up where I left off and sat there with my finger on the plus 10 seconds button and just skimmed through the whole thing, which gave me quite a good vibe. I haven't done that for a cricket game before, except for the ones that have been on YouTube where you just slam the double thing and thing. They're always quite easy to skip through. I got through a game fairly quickly doing that without feeling like I was missing too much. I've spotted the Kane Williamson jig, so that worked. But I felt for 3/4 of that game like the Blackcaps were going to win. And the fact that they didn't was, I mean, this is why I thought the Williamson strike rate thing was a little bit of an issue, is because not an issue for him and how he bats, because we know how he bats, and he was anchoring that innings and expecting other guys to pick up the runs around him. And when they didn't and they started getting out, he realized he had to, and he got out charging down the wicket trying to do that, having actually smacked one over cover just before that. So he was doing what he could. But it's more because it was a symptom of how the innings went, which is that um, basically once India brought on their spinners under lights, or their funky different spinners, they were able to dry up the runs and no one was really scoring. And so Williamson started like first half of his innings was scoring it close to a run a ball, and then afterwards he ended up quite a bit below that because of the way India tightened things up. And that just seemed like one of those things where they've played enough games at Dubai recently that they could do that. But also they have a really good bowling attack, so you're still going to be good enough to take advantage. So fair play on that count. But the bit I choose to focus on is the fact that for 3/4 of that game, like for the whole of the first innings, that we bowled really well. We had India under pressure from the start. Matt Henry bowled very well at the death too. Kyle Jamieson looked good. Spinners did pretty well. Like more good overs from Michael Bracewell and Mitchell Santner as Mitchell Santner. Like this is all, even Rachin Ravindra got in there with a few overs in this game. Like this was all good stuff from the Blackcaps. Thought they kept them to a very good total. And well, up until they lost a few wickets in a round where I think Mitchell got out and then Phillips came in, hit a six and got out, and Bracewell didn't last very long. Actually got out to one he should have reviewed but didn't. But when they lost that, and Latham in between there, of course, when they lost that chunk of wickets, then the game swung, which is when the spinners were doing their work. But up until that point, I felt like they were in control of that chase. A little bit slow, but with wickets in hand and Williamson scoring runs, it felt good. So I choose to focus on that element, which is that for most of that game, they didn't just match India. They felt like they were ahead of the game. You learn from your lessons there. You fix your things next time you play them if you get the opportunity. It's not so bad. Maybe bat first, so you're not batting under lights against the spinners the next time around. Might be one of those lessons to learn. I don't know, but I felt they went toe to toe with them for most of that game. So even though they lost, I come away feeling like that's still a good performance. They were excellent in the field once again. They bowled really well. Just didn't quite handle the spinners, but in a way where it's like, well, if there's only one thing that went wrong, you can go away, you can adjust, you can get a better idea of it, having faced that the next time. You fix it a little bit if they happen to play India in a final, which would be the only opportunity they get to play them again. So yeah, it's annoying they lost their winning streak, but I also think that was, all things considered, it still felt like a continuation of what we've seen them recently. So I was pretty happy with how they played for the most part.
We did see Will Young, Rachin Ravindra opening the batting as we expected. There isn't a conundrum at the top of the order. You pick your two best batters, and Devon Conway's not in that two best batter category. Not a conundrum. Devon Conway, you got to chill, bruh. Daryl Mitchell, 27 runs, averaging 13. Like he's one of our best ODI batters, but he's not batting it like it at the moment. That's probably the biggest issue in the batting lineup. He is 6th for runs this year in ODI cricket for the Blackcaps, 215, averaging 30.7. So, like, Latham's got more runs, Will Young, Rachin Ravindra, Glenn Phillips has more runs. Kane Williamson's got more runs as the leading run scorer. So there's a bit of an issue around Daryl Mitchell. It either continues into a form slump or he rectifies against South Africa. I reckon Daryl Mitchell's going to rectify. Like, given what he's done over the course of his international career, there's nothing to suggest that he can't rectify his little slump at the moment. And we've also got Kyle Jamieson just in the first 11. Only in the squad because Ben Sears is injured, Lockie Ferguson's injured, Kyle Jamieson comes in, and by coming into the squad, then coming into the first 11, he leaps over Jacob Duffy. Poor Jacob Duffy, spark one up, pour some out for Jacob Duffy, but he's still there in the squad doing his thing. My read on this situation is that Jacob Duffy's like there for the Matt Henry replacement type of role, whereas Kyle Jamieson's stepping in for Ben Sears and Lockie Ferguson. He doesn't bowl as fast as them, but he does have a little bit of X factor with his height, his bounce, and his skill as far as movement of the ball goes. So that's been the biggest change or the biggest thing in the bowling department. Matt Henry, 22 wickets, averaging 14.9 this year. Then we've got Will O'Rourke, Santner, Bracewell, all with at least 10 wickets, averaging below 30. As per our discussion in the bonus pod last Thursday, I'll update the variety of contributions this year in ODI cricket. We have, it's still 8 batters who have hit a 50 this year. Devon Conway is the only one of those 8 who's hit 150. So 7 batters have hit at least 2 50s this year. And we've got 5 dudes who have now hit a century with, not Williamson, but we've got 5 dudes who have hit a century this year in, what do we got? 9 games? 9 ODIs and 5 different dudes have hit centuries. That's pretty impressive. Guys with at least 350 plus scores. Tom Latham, 250s, 1 century. Kane Williamson, 250s, 1 century. As I said, we got 4 bowlers with at least 10 wickets. We got 6 bowlers who have taken 5 plus wickets, including Duffy and Smith. Then you got Jamieson, who's only got 2 wickets. Phillips, 1 wicket. Ravinger, 1 wicket. Every single Blackcaps bowler this year in ODI cricket is conceding less than 7 RPO. Of the 6 bowlers who have taken 5 plus wickets, Nathan Smith is the only one who's conceding more than 6 RPO. That's pretty solid. Like, that's just solid cricket right there. So shout out to the Blackcaps. They will be playing their Champions Trophy semi-final tomorrow against South Africa. Get like any keen cricket fan, you're seeing a lot about England, you're seeing a lot about one-day cricket. In England, they don't play one-day cricket, all this stuff. Compare that to New Zealand, where we had the Ford Trophy final on Sunday. Canterbury won the Ford Trophy final. In this game, so wait, let me go generally, bigger picture. New Zealand, we do cricket well. We play the right amount of each format, and we play each format. We play each format, the right amount of each format in domestic cricket. We play the right amount of each format in international cricket. Some say we don't play enough. I say 5 test series are gluttonous. It's gluttony. You can solve all your scheduling issues in international cricket by stopping the 5 test series. Crazy, I know, but we're from New Zealand where we play 3 test series, where we play 2 test series. And I'm saying our scheduling is fantastic. The only issue with the New Zealand cricket scheduling, it would be nice to have some women's test cricket. That's the only kind of work on for me. But I think the scarcity of test cricket in New Zealand means every test, every day of a test is massive. It's an event. It's sold out. We get big crowds for random ODIs against anyone. We get big crowds for random T20s against anyone. We get big crowds for test cricket against anyone. You drop down a tier, domestic cricket, we did have a moan. We were critical when Blackcaps Shield went from 10 games to 8 games. But it's worked. It's worked out well. Because domestic cricket is producing fantastic cricketers. Domestic cricket is doing its job in laying the foundations for cricket. We play a nice even split of each format. And then you've also got lots of other cricket. You got the culture tournaments, you got the A cricket, you got the regional games as well. So you might have less domestic cricket as far as fewer Blackcaps Shield games, but that's made up with so much more cricket in a different area, if you get what I'm saying. I'm working towards a point here where we had the Ford Trophy final. Auckland, in their Ford Trophy team, you got Finn Allen and Jimmy Neesham. 2 guys who play a lot of T20 cricket around the world. 2 guys who have given up their New Zealand cricket contract to play T20 cricket. Drama. They gave up their New Zealand cricket contract. They opted out of their New Zealand cricket contract. What does this mean for New Zealand cricket? Well, they're playing in the Ford Trophy final. without a contract because it doesn't matter. Finn Allen is the captain of the Auckland team. Jimmy Neesham, he was their best player this season between T20 tournaments. So two dudes who have stepped away to play T20 tournaments are playing Ford Trophy cricket, one-day domestic cricket. They don't have a contract, which is only relevant because that means they aren't forced to play, which means they want to play. So two guys who have T20 gigs everywhere, they want to play Ford Trophy cricket for Auckland. Bevan Jacobs, IPL extraordinaire. He's playing Ford Trophy. He's playing in the Ford Trophy final. Tim Seifert. Northern Districts actually sucked in the Ford Trophy. Tim Seifert, another one who's on the T20 circuit. What did he do straight after the Big Bash League? He's playing Ford Trophy cricket. So our guys on the T20 circuits, they want to be involved in domestic one-day cricket. That is something to be grateful for because other nations, mainly England, that doesn't happen. That's why they lose. So this is a very good thing for New Zealand cricket. Kind of mainly because these guys don't have to play, but they want to play. Canterbury, Ford Trophy, one-day final. Henry Nicholls, Ish Sodhi, two older Blackcaps who aren't in the Blackcaps right now. Mitch Hay, Zach Foulkes, two new Blackcaps. They're all playing the Ford Trophy final. So while other nations worry about their one-day setup, how much one-day cricket they play at the highest level, at the domestic level, our one-day competition is working well. And T20 players, Blackcaps, they want to be playing. So shout out to cricket in New Zealand. Canterbury won this game. Excuse me. Hopefully you don't have to go anywhere recording the podcast because it's going to be a big one. But we're out here doing our best for Aotearoa sport. Canterbury won the game. Lachlan Stackpole, 58 not out down the order for Auckland. Zach Foulkes, 3 wickets. Ish Sodhi, 3 wickets. Canterbury run chase. Henry Nicholls comes back into the team, 52 runs. Mitch Hay, 86 not out. Canterbury win. The funky thing here is that Mitch Hay has scored his 3 50s in Ford Trophy this season after the Super Smash. All 3 of his 50s, 56 runs versus Otago, 51 runs versus Northern Districts, 86 not out in the final versus Auckland. All 3 of those 50s, strike rate's over 100. In 2 of those 50s, he hit more 6s than 4s. 56 runs versus Otago, no 4s, 5 6s. 51 runs versus Northern Districts, 6 4s, 1 6. In the final, he hit 4 4s, 6 6s. I mean, Mitch Hay's fun. He's a fun dude to watch. And that is not unique in the youngsters of Aotearoa. So many fun young players to enjoy, to watch, to learn about. Also, Zach Foulkes, he took 3 wickets. And he is now currently averaging 25.7 in first-class cricket, 23.8 in one-day cricket, 19.8 in T20 cricket. That's Zach Foulkes. That's the next up seamer. The Champions Trophy squad. Okay, Ben Sears is out injured. Okay, Lockie Ferguson's out injured. We call up Kyle Jamieson. And then we got other dudes doing the stuff back in New Zealand, like Zach Foulkes, winning finals. That's New Zealand cricket for you. So that is the men's final. I also think it's important to highlight that Curtis Heafy did finish as the leading run scorer in Ford Trophy with CD. So we've got Curtis Heafy, who I think is 21 years old, leading run scorer Ford Trophy. Matt Boyle, who did have a score in the Ford Trophy final, 41 runs, strike rate of 93, 3 fours, 2 sixes. He was the leading run scorer in Super Smash. 22 years old, I think. Now we're entering the last phase of Plunkett Shield. And Reese Mariu, for the sake of this storyline, needs to keep scoring runs. Because he is currently the leading run scorer in Plunkett Shield at 23 years old off the top of my head. And we got 4 games to finish the summer with a youngster leading each competition for runs. It's already happened in Ford Trophy. It's already happened in the Super Smash. Now it's up to Reese Mariu. No pressure. But you got to keep scoring some runs. Reese Mariu did hit his first 250s in one-day cricket during the Ford Trophy as well. So shout out to him. He's working his way through the other formats. Then, of course, we had Otago defeating Auckland in an epic HBJ Shield final. Otago won that final without Susie Bates, without Hayley Jensen, and without Bella James. All 3 were in the White Ferns squad, but Hayley Jensen and Bella James got injured, so they didn't play the final. Then they were replaced for the White Ferns ODI squad. Bella James was replaced by Lauren Down. Hayley Jensen was replaced by Fran Jonas. So 2 Otago players out of the White Ferns ODI squad, 2 Auckland players in. But that is to say, Otago, like Hayley Jensen, she took like 15 or 16 wickets, averaging 13 with the ball. Very important. Senior player, good all-rounder. Bella James was the best batter in the first half of HBJ Shield, which got her a call-up to the White Ferns squad to play Australia and looked good there. Didn't back it up in the second half of the summer, but she was a key reason why Otago had a dominant season. And Susie Bates, I think she hit a century and 250s in her 3 innings of HBJ Shield. So she was very important to Otago. None of them played the final. Otago won. Otago won with Eden Carson taking 2 wickets. Felicity Robertson, very solid all-rounder, experienced cricketer. I think she was their leading run scorer, very good bowler. Can't underestimate her presence in that Otago team. She took 2 wickets and then scored 53 runs at the top of the order. Polly Ingalls, 86 runs, strike rate of 101. So now we have a situation where I believe Polly Ingalls is the best wicketkeeper in New Zealand. And she has, I think she's got 2 seasons averaging over 40 in the HBJ Shield. I believe she averaged below 30 in the 10 seasons prior, whatever it was. But now she's piling up the runs in the HBJ Shield final, hit the highest score in the... Wait, she's piling up the runs in HBJ Shield. She hit the highest score in the final. I think she's a better wicketkeeper batter than Izzy Gaze right now. But that only sets up the battle for that illustrious honor in the White Ferns coming up with their ODI series versus Sri Lanka starting today, Tuesday afternoon. But there was a collapse, so Polly Ingalls, she's working well with Felicity Robertson. They get out, then Caitlin Blakely gets out, then Anna Browning gets out, then it's PJ Watkins and Eden Carson. Eden Carson, who was the leading wicket taker in the Super Smash, leading wicket taker in the HBJ Shield, and hit the winning run. She didn't hit the winning runs, but she basically won the game for Otago with 59 not out at a strike rate of 137. 5 fours, 2 sixes. She also hit a 50 a few weeks ago against Auckland at Eden Park, outer oval, I believe. She did have a 50-plus score in her second season of one-day batting. but this is her first season with 250s. So we have a situation where Eden Carson was the best bowler in both domestic competitions this summer and won the final by scoring runs and running really fast between the wickets because she's a fantastic athlete. She's one of the best fielders in New Zealand. Really quick in the outfield, but has a fantastic throw as well. That leads us, so on the back of the possibility of the leading run scorer in each men's competition being a young batter, the three bowlers, three leading wicket takers in HBJ Shield are all young bowlers. Eden Carson, Bree Illing, Ocean Bartlett. Like they're all 23 years or younger. So that's lovely. Bree Illing's now on the White Fern squad as a lefty seamer. Ocean Bartlett, good leggy on the rise, who played for New Zealand 11 against Sri Lanka over the weekend or late last week. So, I mean, Eden Carson's awesome, first and foremost. Polly Ingalls, fantastic patch of form. Watch out for her with the White Ferns. Shout out to Maddie Green. She hit a century. She was the best batter in HBJ Shield. Lauren Down did score 90 runs in the final. So I do think she is deserving of her place as a replacement player in the White Ferns. Hopefully not down the order, though. Like, Lauren Down should be in the upper half of your team. I don't think she's a finisher as they selected her for the Rose Bowl, but that's just me. I don't like Jackson Ford starting in the middle, playing 51 minutes, and I don't like Lauren Down batting down the order because I'd rather have Eden Carson, you know? Eden Carson smashes the ball everywhere. She should be in that role. I can't say Eden Carson's the best women's cricketer in New Zealand right now, but she's close. She might actually be, to be honest. Well, Maddie Green probably is. But like Amelia Kerr's not in New Zealand right now. So Eden Carson has a case. Sophie Devine's not playing cricket right now. So then you get into it and she's up there. Shout out to Otago. Their HBJ, I need some help with this because I'm using the term dynasty freely. Because the Wellington Blaze have a dynasty in Super Smash. Like 7 out of 8 or 6 out of 8 championships, something like that. Otago Sparks have won 3 out of the last 4 HBJ Shields. Like that's dynastic. I think Canterbury are in a similar zone, like 2 out of the last 3, 3 out of the last 4. Like they're doing some great stuff in the Ford Trophy as well. So I don't want to like overuse the term dynasty, but I do feel like Otago, Wellington Blaze, they're the best T20 team in New Zealand by a significant margin. They've got a fantastic development pipeline, elite talent at the highest level. Otago Sparks, like I went deep, like they are the HBJ Shield. They are the dominant HBJ Shield team. But if you look at like women's schoolgirl cricket in New Zealand, I think St. Hilda's College has been a top 5 team for most of the last decade. And 2 years they weren't. There was Otago Girls High School, and then there was 1 year where no Otago school was top 5. So that shows you about the youngsters on the rise in Otago, many of whom have now come into the Otago Sparks. But there is something very special in the way Otago develops female cricketers.